Welcome to Valley of the Sun Real Estate Show. Anything and everything you need to know when it comes to your real estate needs right here in the state of Arizona. Hosted by Jayson Bates, the lender who has been known to take a turn down and turn it around into an approval. All right, hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Valley of the Sun Real Estate Show. Anything and everything you need to know when it comes to your real estate needs right here in the state of Arizona. My name is Jayson Bates, and I'm pretty excited about today's show because I think it's going to be very informative for you as the consumer. I've got Matt Mason on the show today with MMC Credit Advisors. And he's done a lot of work for me when it comes to helping some of my clients with their credit repair needs. He does a fantastic job, and he's got a wealth of information that he's going to share with us today to help buyers and help you purchase a home. So if you have any questions, by all means, give us a call. We can be reached at 929-477-1204, or you can email me at valleyofthesunrealestateshow@gmail.com. And we'll be sure and get your questions answered if you have any questions about credit. So, Matt, are you there with us?
Yeah. How's it going, Jason?
Good, Matt. Thanks for participating in the show today. I really appreciate it, and I think there's going to be a wealth of information here for potential home buyers here. So,
yeah, not a problem. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the viewers, or not viewers, but the listeners out there. Tell them who you are and what you do.
All right, yeah. I'm a fourth-generation Phoenician, local Arizona boy. Grew up out here in Arizona. Ended up going to college. Played a little bit of football at one of our local universities here in town. And, I had an opportunity to play a little college football, a little pro. Got into credit kind of randomly, was about done with my career. Was looking at, something to do, was going to go into insurance like my father did. They actually ran my credit, and a couple things popped up. I went and looked for a guy to work on it. Ended up getting a job with him because the offer was so great and knowledge-based, and ended up starting my own company a few years back here, and I've been working on people's credit ever since.
Nice. Well, awesome. And I know from experience, personal experience, not me personally, but with clients that I've sent to you, you've done a fantastic job, and I know the clients are very, very appreciative. And one thing that I can't stress this enough when we talk about credit and credit advisors and people helping people with credit, it's so vitally important that somebody that you're working with is honest. And I can't, I can't stress that enough because there are plenty of credit agencies that I get approached by that are across the country, and they really have no, I don't want to say, they just don't really have any intimate, it's not like you can reach out and touch them kind of thing. We're here with Matt. He's local. He's somebody you can go visit with. You can go see him personally. And it's not just a phone call. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, owning the company that I do and learning what I've learned in the past and through experiences, and it's something that I really feel fortunate enough to where I can actually get with a lot of these clients and sit with them and kind of guide them on what's going to be best for their credit. Because let's be honest, there's not a lot of things that people are going to tell these people that are going to be what they should do. It's, you should pay this debt right now. Okay, well, is it in my best interest to pay this, or what should I pay this one?
Right.
As long as you can break it down to people and explain to them what the way their credit looks, it's not necessarily that that's the way their credit should be, but, statutes and limitations play a big role. There's a lot of different factors. It's best to ask somebody that knows what they're doing, consultations are, extremely cheap for advisors to figure out what's going on with your credit. And then if it's something you decided to go through, by all means, we can definitely help you with that at MMC. But you can find somebody that you trust, that you're going to know, that's been in the industry for a long time. You don't want to get these people that are in another state, because what are they going to be able to do for you when you're out here? It's a lot of paperwork needing to be sent in a timely manner. A lot of clients don't want to take that headache. We like to do that for them. So I like to do what I do.
More importantly, when I talk to my clients, credit it's like a full-time job, and we'll talk about the creditors and some of their tactics and what they do to try to discourage you from doing what's right, which is repair your credit and accurate information on your credit report. And so you need someone full-time and going to be dedicated and an advocate on your behalf to help you with your credit. So and that brings me to my next question here, Matt. Is credit easy to understand?
It definitely is. Either if you can talk with somebody that really knows, a lot of mortgage agents, a lot of realtors are trained up on what credit looks like. Do they know necessarily everything about that? Not particularly, but every case is different. Every case needs to be investigated as far as, what it is, whether or not, it's an obligation that you have, if it's federal. There's a lot of different things that could really affect your credit, new negatives, that you really need to make sure that you prepare before you get a loan. You've got to get somebody to tell you, hey, your credit card balances are too crazy. If I have to take your credit card and cut it up, I'll be that guy. I'll help you out and cut your credit card for a few months and help you out so that you're not using it, and you pay it down and you get those points that you're missing from not having it paid down. But yeah, there's a lot of advice that you can get and give, and I think that it is very easy to understand once you get a good understanding of it with meeting with someone.
And, one of the things, too, that I come across a lot with my clients is that they seem to think what's best for their credit on their own terms. And maybe they get advice from a family member or somebody else that isn't in the industry or involved in credit. And sometimes that can be a little dangerous. I'm not saying those people may not, are giving bad advice or good advice or any type of, but if you're not involved in it, because credit does sometimes change, and each creditor has their own little quirks and tweaks that they do when reporting and how you need to approach them and handle them.
Well,
and that's what somebody like yourself is going to be able to help guide those people through those pitfalls, right?
Yeah, and and I don't mean to cut you off. And earlier you had said, the word credit repair. And there's throughout the information that we're going to speak about today, credit repair is something that you can do as a consumer if you knew how to do it. Now, a lot of people try to do it and then they don't do it correctly, or they don't follow through because they don't look up the laws and they don't investigate what paperwork is needed and required by laws in order to hold it. But they don't have the time for that. They don't want to do that. They would rather have somebody that's been doing it for a very long time. And when it comes to exactly what we do, it's just a matter of whatever's in our client's best interest. If they need to pay off a few of these accounts in order to get a loan done, that's something that they should do. But it's going to be something that we really track and make sure that it's good for them first.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to reach out to Matt, you can certainly reach out to him here in Phoenix. He's located at 3507 North Central Avenue, Suite 102. His office phone number is 602-368-5601, and it's MMC Credit Advisors. So now, Matt, tell me, what's the most common question or common scenario that you come across when it comes to credit?
The most common thing when it comes to credit is that most people, when they do think that, I have a few credit lines going, that automatically that they're willing to qualify for credit cards or, home loans or car loans, and it's not the case. a lot of the different areas where I get clients from, like, whether it's a realtor, a mortgage agent, a car dealership, everybody wants to be financed, and they really hate getting that no. So I think that a lot of times the thing that I deal with the most is people that, are frustrated of getting no's. They're just, what's going on? I need to know what's going on. What can I do? Because they've really lost hope, and they've given up. And this is what I ask from all of my clients is that we go in this like a fighter. We do have a pot to pee in. No offense. But you do have somebody that knows what he's doing, that's going to do what's best for you and what's best for your credit. And, the realtors and mortgage agents like Jayson that send me clients, know that they're going to be in the hands of somebody that's really doing what's going to get it done for them to get that yes, for them to get that new home that they've really been wanting to get. So, I definitely appreciate you having me on and giving me the opportunity, so.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge here. And I think you kind of touched on something there. I think education or educating the person about their credit, I think is the most important thing about credit. And when people come to myself or to you, Matt, and say, hey, what do I need to do? They're just looking for a direction, some education. I don't know where to begin, so tell me where to begin. I'll do what I need to do. Just tell me what's gonna work.
Absolutely.
And what's. And it's key too that because I come across this quite often too. I one of the things that I get asked a lot is, hey, if I use my credit, if I have a credit card that has a $2,000 balance or credit limit on it, and I use $2,000 of it, isn't that good credit, Jayson? And it's not the maximum, or it's not how much credit you have. It's how you utilize, how it's portrayed on a report. And what I mean by that is when you have your credit cards all maxed out and you're paying them on time, yes, it looks good that you're paying them on time. That's one of the key components to good credit, obviously. But as a lender, we're going to look at that as you're almost robbing Peter to pay Paul, because you're right on the edge that if you just have one little hiccup, all these things are going into default. And so it's important to have your revolving credit down to a third of the available balance. Wouldn't you say, Matt? Isn't that a pretty good rule of thumb?
Yeah. What I advise everybody that I deal with is 20% below 10%. What that means is if you have a $2,000 credit card, subjectively, when it comes for time of financing, you get the most points when it's below 10%. 20% is typically you're going to still get a lot of points, but not a whole bunch.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of a little bit right as far as what I advise my people. But it's all about how you pay it down. I think that if you called in right now, I guess, what was the number again, Jayson?
It's 929-477-1204, or you can
call. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, email us at valleyofthesunrealestateshow@gmail.com.
All right, hey, here, I'm going to give a little bit of fun fact. So if you call in or you email us right now, I'm going to teach you how to make credit card payments very affordable. It's going to be to where you're going to barely pay any interest, as to like almost no interest on any credit card, no matter what your max is. So give us a call or an email, and I'll give you a little bit of a credit tip for free.
Nice. I should have. Why didn't you tell me that earlier, Matt?
I'm a rambunctious kind of guy. No.
So good information there. And Matt, what would you say? Can somebody fix their own credit? I mean, I hear a lot of people take care of it myself.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I touched base on it a little bit before, but I get a lot of people saying, I'm going to fix my own credit, and then they end up getting in the way of themselves a bit when it comes to lending.
Yeah.
What the lenders
they don't. They just, because most people's reaction is to throw like every credit thing that's a bad thing on dispute. Like, let's just dispute everything and expect for it to happen. Like, it's like, okay, well, if you know that this is something that they could potentially have all this legal documentation on,
right.
Wouldn't you want to, talk to them and try to work out a deal? If you think that they're going to, if they fight it, all they have to say is that they have the paperwork, right? These companies will just tell the bureaus, yeah, we got it. We have all the paperwork that we need in order to collect on these people. Yeah, we have all that. And the bureaus are going to be like, okay.
I'm sorry, I call that go away. The lenders always, or the creditors always tell the consumer when they're disputing something or having some kind of issue with their credit, hey, just go away. I'm going to tell the person that, we've got it handled, just stop calling us. And in reality, they don't do anything on your credit. It just sits there.
No.
Nothing changes.
Yeah. Absolutely, and you have to get it changed. You have to get documentation for that change. That's part of the process. Is we do a lot with, getting these collection letters, taken care of, and making sure that these companies that are supposed to have this documentation hold that documentation and aren't just, harassing you. Because inevitably, if they harass you, now another program that we have is also protecting against harassing phone calls. If you are receiving collection calls, if they're not the original collector, like a Wells Fargo or Bank of America, they're not supposed to be calling you. So, a lot of these companies are breaking laws, and it's really, really, good for consumers to know that they are, have those services available.
That's why I like referring clients to you, because you're going to give them that information. I didn't even know that. That's valuable information. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, and it's not every day that you get harassed or that you have somebody of my caliber have to do the harassing for you. It's something that you need to stay on. You need to make sure that these people are held up to what obligations they're legally provided to hold information for, and not only that, but what information they do have. Because if they don't have it, then what's to say that that this client didn't already pay the debt?
Right.
It depends. It's every situation is different, and that's what we tell everybody is no credit's the same.
That's critical, because every situation is different. There is no two credit bureaus exactly the same, and so it's important to know that. So when you talk to your friends, family, whatever, and they're giving you advice on credit and maybe how they handled their situation, it may not be applicable to your situation. Now, Matt, you mentioned too about disputing accounts. I'm going to say from a lender's perspective, disputed accounts don't work. If there's a dispute credit report, if you're disputing something and it has a balance or whatever the case may be, as a lender, if you're applying for a mortgage, and I don't know about cars or credit cards or anything like that, but if you're applying for a mortgage, that dispute needs to be resolved, period.
Absolutely. You can't have an account sitting in dispute in order to get that loan approved. So, a lot of times for clients, they think that, because it's in dispute that their credit's this just phenomenal thing, and it's not necessarily that until it's proven to be either not a factual account, or, they don't have the information and it's been removed, or, they just were saying, hey, we have this information, you need to pay this, and, a lot of clients just expect it to just, go away on its own.
Yeah, it's not all about the credit score.
It's not. It's about the way it looks.
Yeah.
It's the whole kit and caboodle.
Absolutely. It's the totality of the credit bureau. So, all right. So now, can anyone use your service, Matt? Or is it just people with bad credit?
No. Absolutely not. I mean, I work with and like I said, a lot of people have confidentiality agreements, but I work with a lot of very, predominant people, lawyers, doctors, bankers, people that, don't really know or have the time to do stuff like this for themselves, people that just want really good credit. I mean, let's be honest, you might not need a home. You might already have a home. You might need a car. You might, not be able to finance for a car. You might want credit cards or not know where to go or have too many credit cards. I mean, how many times have you come across guys that you're like, really? Like, why do you have a $50 credit card to Macy's when you have a $10,000 credit card over here at like American Express? Like, close that card. You know, like, you don't need that thing. Like, come on, man. So, but they just don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. I had a client just the other day who, thought the more credit he has, the better it looks, and it just doesn't. It's just doesn't work that way.
That's a myth. It's a myth.
It's a total myth. And when you talk about credit and the need for credit and having good credit, it's not just the people with 700 credit scores. Of course, even they can use some help in certain situations with their credit.
Yeah. But they could be a few tweaks away from being in the 800s. You know, we all want to get as high up into the 850 or area as we can, but very few people can do that without good length of credit history, years of good credit. But it's something that can be worked on. I mean, I've worked on clients from years ago and still continue doing work for them, and finally got them to that point where, they're in that realm of perfect credit. But it's something that, if you don't know what you're doing, that's like Michael Jordan giving you tax advice. I mean, great idea for a one-on-one tournament, you know what I'm saying? Like, bring Michael Jordan. Yeah, okay, cool. Not for taxes. You come to me when it comes to credit, and I'll steer you off in the right way and what's best for you.
Right. Yeah, and it comes to employment opportunities. I mean, employers are even looking at credit.
Well, hey, that's how I found my credit guy. Was I was going to be an insurance salesman. I mean, it was something that my dad had his book of business. He was a big insurance agent out here. Wanted me to get into insurance. Was like, here, I'll give you all this information and, help you out. And they ran my credit, and it was a Verizon Wireless negative account, which are very, very tough, by the way. Verizon Wireless, you should pay that account no matter what it is. Anybody that's listening, it's a very important account. They have very, very good, intelligent people that have worked for them for a very long time.
And Sears is another tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of people that required a lot of old documentation back in the heyday, and they kept that information, and they've protected it and updated and requested, and I'm sure that there's been, numerous times where you don't know, but they've made copies of your IDs, and, that's something that they have on documentation, and you don't know that. But they have records, and they've had good records.
Absolutely. So if you want to reach out to Matt, once again, he can be reached at 602-368-5601. You can also email the show here at valleyofthesunrealestateshow@gmail.com, or you can call in our line live while we're here live at 929-477-1204. Certainly, if you're listening to us on a podcast or something like that, you can call Matt's office directly there at 602-368-5601. So now the next thing here, Matt, I want to talk about here is what are the time frames? Credit, it takes a while to build credit, but it seems as though it takes no time to destroy credit, right? So
it takes a very long time to build credit, and a few days or a bad week where you forget to make payments that can really affect you.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen one missed payment on one credit card affect a credit score by 100 points or more, and then it seems as though it just takes you months to get that corrected. So what's kind of an average time for credit?
It generally depends on a lot of things. There's a lot of, how you say, algorithms, as other companies would tell you, complicated algorithms. It's like, length of history. How recent is this negative? There's a lot of percentage charts that they have online. If you go online and type in like FICO score predictor, you can really pop up that visual, graphic, and you can see, recent negatives is such a bad whammy to your credit. Yes, you need to get these points by having your credit card balances low, but anything recent, it could really affect the loan. And for a long time, it was, if you had anything recent, they wouldn't let the loan go through. Now I think it's like within the last 12 months, like you might be able to get away with one or two. I'm not sure. That's your guys' deal. But, depending on program, right? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things out there that really make that effectiveness for your credit drop significantly, and that's, I mean, anything recent. If something shows up on your credit, and you didn't know about it, or you did know about it and it just wasn't showing. Well, obviously, if you knew that this thing was, like, out there and you weren't out there trying to take care of it, at some point there was some recollection that you were going to end up getting this back.
But no, if I were to hire you, Matt, and I came to you and I said, hey, look, I've got four late pays that aren't, mine. I'm divorced, and my ex-wife she's awarded that credit card or that car or whatever it is. She's awarded that, and she's supposed to be making payments on it, yet it's affecting my credit. How long would it take you to? And I know it depends a little bit on the creditor themselves, but kind of walk us through that process and what the expectations are.
Okay, well, typically when you get into a case like this and you're dealing with a collection company and whatnot, you want to make sure that when you see something on somebody's credit that's going to be, hold on one second. Hello?
Yeah,
are you there? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it cut off for a second.
No.
When it comes to that, it's you want to make sure that whatever you do, you want to make sure you get whatever information they have. So when you're working on your credit, or if you had me work on your credit, on a typical time frame, it's very hard to say because they have 30 days to respond, and then you send in a response immediately. It's all in timing of response is the way you can, really get good work done. And that's really staying persistent, knowing when you sent, what you sent, tracking that information as well, letting them know, like, hey, I sent this out a week ago. You guys haven't responded. We're just trying to settle this, get this taken care of. So
are we looking like 60 days, 90 days? I mean,
generally speaking, we would have a response within, I say, 30 to 45 days of when a client came from me, signed up. You would start receiving a lot of paperwork. There can be expedited information, rapid rescores and things and such like that done, but that needs to be addressed at that time and like priority letter. Like they would need to make sure that they hold those receipts, that they get that stuff taken care of. Because it's up to them how long they want to respond on the bureaus. We can just advise you and tell you, okay, well, if all of this stuff was taken care of, within this amount of time, this is the way it'll look. But you've got to understand that, it's all based on the way they respond, what they have. Because a lot of times they don't have what is requested, so they have to get rid of it. They have to take it off the bureaus. Now, are the bureaus going to do that immediately? They're going to drag their feet through the water. They're taking off debt that they probably would have gotten paid for at some point, probably.
And that's why
it's just a matter of,
that's why they hire you. I mean, they hire you to help them.
You want somebody that's going to fight for you, and that's what we do. So.
Right. Okay. So now, what are the costs involved? I know there's going to be a lot of, you can fix my credit, but it's going to cost me an arm and a leg. So well, we do monthly membership fees for our services. So, anybody that doesn't think they can afford it, you're crazy. At least not to sit down with me and go over your credit. We will always negotiate prices for the services. If I think that there's something that I can do to help you, we could postpone payment. I mean, there's a million things we can do if we think that these clients are going to be valuable clients to us, because not valuable as, but they're going to do what we tell them to do. They're going to create value in themselves. They're going to start becoming these new home buyers, these new car buyers that are getting good rates on financing, that are saving themselves lots of money. Right. Yeah. Now, it's important to note here too, Matt, in your company, you are a resource for individuals who need credit repair. I'm not affiliated with you. I don't get paid by you. I don't do anything other than say, hey, this is a resource. You can choose to work with him, or you can choose not to work with him. That's strictly up to you as a consumer.
Absolutely. It's always up to the consumer when they come to me. It's, if they don't feel comfortable with it, I mean, I guarantee you by the time you get done with one consultation with me, you'll know more about your credit than 85 to 90% of any average consumer.
Well,
I will give you that much information.
It's almost like you can't afford not to have some credit repair. You can't live with bad credit your entire life. So you gotta take the steps. And I know sometimes there are big steps in your anxiety, and you don't, when somebody looks at your credit report, it's kind of, you're exposed a little bit, financially, and it can be a little embarrassing for some people. But after the recent credit crisis in our country and what most Americans have gone through, there's really nothing to be ashamed about anymore. There's really not.
No, absolutely. I'll tell you this. It doesn't matter what you've had in your past, what's happened. As long as there's some fight in you and you think that, I want to get myself straightened around, we can help you out. I love people that are tough jobs. The worse your credit is, the better it is for us. So,
Right.
Don't be ashamed. It's not something you're going to talk to your best friends about and your buddies when you're out drinking, or your girlfriends when you're out, I don't know, doing what girlfriends do, I assume, like sewing and drinking tea and cute things like that. But it's something that, as long as you have somebody that's there for you, even if you didn't sign up with me, as long as I gave you enough information that you feel confident about your credit, the consultation is definitely worth it.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning of the show, it's about the education. So there's a lot of information that you can give and direction that you can give to a client, and they can use it or not use it. It's up to them.
Yeah, and we are credit restoration, not repair. Repair is a bad word, my friend. Credit restoration. No, I'm joking.
I stand corrected. All right. So tell me, what are some of the common myths? I know we talked about a couple of them. How much you use, and as far as credit makes you look better, as far as creditors and stuff. But what are some of the common myths when it comes to credit? Like, I always hear kind of, and I don't mean to call it the old schooler rule, but a lot of people try to say for a very long time, like, oh, as long as your credit cards are paid below 50%. Mm-hmm. Or, and I always was like, 50? I'm like, not anymore. I'm like, that might have been like back in the day before all this, but like they want to see that you don't have a lot of debt. Like Jayson said, was they want to see like, okay, well, shoot, this person could easily throw a down payment down on one of their credit cards, or, buy some stuff for the house on there. They're not worried about, okay, well, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul because their credit balances are so high. And that was part of one of the reasons why I was going to tell somebody to call or email Jayson, and I'll give you this information personally about how to pay those credit cards down quicker without losing money and interest. Right. So tell us what makes up a FICO score or credit score.
What makes up a FICO score? Oh, man. Credit history, current credit. A lot of effects could be, too many inquiries. Like, people don't understand. Even if you're going to a car dealership, they might run your credit a whole bunch of times. Know how many times they run your credit before you let them run your credit. Like, every time they're going to run your credit, they need to get your permission. Because, that could affect your credit. You run your credit 20 times in one day, trying to get a car loan, the best interest rate you can through 20 different banks. And then they say, okay, well, out of the 20, this is the best one. Yeah, it's going to hit your credit a little bit. The FICO is a lot different than an auto. Autos could actually even go up to a 950. So FICOs top out at about an 850. But it's made up of all your recent information. Anything. Is there any recent derogatories? It's one of those things that what us credit people do is like we take our hand and we make the wave. Because it's like every FICO is different. Your scores are going to reflect on one based on those codes that are in your credit report. Serious delinquents, anything recent, like I said, is the worst. But yeah.
Hang on. So there's difference between a FICO score and, what'd you say, an auto score?
An auto, yeah. Autos, like a lot of financing for autos could even go up to a 950, like credit score, not FICO. I'm sorry if I said FICO.
Okay.
But it would be considered like a 9, like they could finance, because I've seen people in the 890s, and I'm like looking at this like, wait a minute, like I was always told it goes to 850, and then the guy's like, yeah, no, it could even go up higher. I was like, what? So I did some research, and apparently there is some places that you can get like a 950 score. It's crazy.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. But that's for auto.
Gotcha. Okay, now I know one of the myths that I've encountered when it comes to what makes up a credit score is income. A lot of people think, okay, the more money, a credit score, right? False. False.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, absolutely zero. And the other thing, too, is I've seen a lot of college students go out there, and it's been in the news about student loan debt and these sort of things. I've seen college students, not graduates, not anybody that has a job outside the cafeteria at ASU, right? They have a job at ASU part-time, and they get a student loan, and they have a 720 FICO score.
Right.
And have a student loan that's in deferment that they're not even paying on. And that's one of the flaws when it comes to credit score. And that's where we talked earlier about we're going to look at the totality of your credit when making a credit decision and lending you on the biggest purchase of your life, which is a home loan. So other creditors probably aren't going to look at that, maybe a credit card, that sort of thing. But when it comes to a home loan, we're going to look at your entire credit profile to make a decision on whether or not we should lend you money. And I'd be more than happy to go over all that with you. You can reach me at valleyofthesunrealestateshow@gmail.com, or you can call me directly at 602-573-3101. We've got about a few minutes left here on the show, but so I don't know if you want to call in. But if you do want to call in, you can call 929-477-1204. So just to kind of wrap a couple things up here, got a couple last questions I want to ask you, Matt. What is some of the most common problems that you see when it comes to credit?
Just, not a lot of positive new credit history. A lot of people, when they come into me, they've been turned down and said no to so many times that they know that their credit's bad, and they basically give up. Like they don't attempt to try to get like secured lines of credit or a secured loan from a like a credit union.
In all fairness,
go ahead.
When clients are talking, when I talk to clients and they've been turned down, they just don't know where to turn. And there are companies out there who will lend you money or give you the opportunity to extend credit to you. You just have to know where to go.
Absolutely. I mean, we work with a lot of those companies. We work with a lot of those, dealers and stores and stuff like that. So, it's we send people to them because we know that they'll get them approved and we can get them some revolving credit. But anything that you can do to, make sure that you're trying to get back on that horse. Like if you weren't and you were just sitting there, then, your credit could end up just taking a nosedive and just being dormant. Like you don't have anything new.
Right. Right. Now, what I know that this is a big issue that's coming out, and it's not really coming out. It's been out there for a long, long time. I know we deal with it here in the state of Arizona quite a bit, and that is identity theft. Can you help with identity theft?
Yeah. It's like I said, a lot of the clients that we have dealt with in the priors and in the past have dealt with this because, these are citizens that say have just been issued a Social Security number, and they've gotten this information and all this stuff is on their credit, and they've never. I mean, they had the Social Security number for a year, so it's one of those things where you see this kind of stuff, and I don't know how they regulate that stuff on their own end, but it happens all the time. It happens with not just that, but miss information. Like if your dad had something and you have a similar matching name, You could have a foreclosure from your father put on your name because of the way your name is, and it's like, dude, I wouldn't have been born before this house was purchased. Like,
right.
How do you guys have this on my credit? But it reports that way.
Right.
So a lot of misinformation, a lot of making sure that, if it is yours, that you do attract the right type of information and that you do handle that accordingly. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
I mean, identity theft, that's my wife was a victim of identity theft. It's crazy how these crooks, steal your identity, swiping cards in your gas station pump, and then they get your ID, and then they run with it. You got people taking, shredded pieces of paper and, pasting them together to try to steal your identity. I mean, the lengths that these people go through to get your identity is just astonishing. And then
it's only going to get easier for them with the way technology is and social media. You have to protect your information and know that you have somebody that's working on your protected information. So.
There are things too as a consumer. You can put locks on your credit report with people to call you to identify themselves as pulling your credredit.
Yep.
So there are things that you can
Absolutely.
do. Just call Matt or myself, and we'll kind of guide you through that if that's something that you'd like to do on your credit report to help protect, people just nonchalantly pulling your credit. Target had that big incident over the Christmas holiday. I think they had a recent one too.
P.F. Chang's just had a huge one.
Yeah.
They just had a huge credit card theft thing. They were back in the 1980s with magnet swipers. I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So nobody takes your credit seriously except you, right?
Yep.
Or you're like Matt. Matt's going to take your credit serious because he's there as an advocate to help you with your credit. So give him a call. I mean, he can be reached at 602. What's your number out here, Matt? 602-368-5601. So if you have any needs, give Matt a call. He's one of the best in the industry here in the Valley of the Sun. So we've got 2 minutes here. I think we should probably wrap it up. Is there any closing thoughts you'd like to say here, Matt?
No, I appreciate you bringing me on the show. As a Valley resident and as a fourth-generation Phoenician, I love the state of Arizona when it comes to everything, cars, houses, real estate. If you do have clients that are in need of some advice, or you just don't have the time or the inclination, or you have the turn downs that you just want somebody to work on, turn those no's into yeses, send them my way. My phone number is 602-368-5601. You can reach me at Mason at mmccreditadvisorsllc.co. Once again, that's Mason at mmccreditadvisorsllc.co. Easy website, azcreditfix.com. So let me know.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on the show, man. I really, really do, man. And if you have any mortgage needs whatsoever, by all means, reach out to me. My name is Jayson Bates. I do a lot of turn them around into approvals. So I'd love to help you out. I can be reached at 608.
I will testify to that. Jayson does a great job for every single one of his clients. He's a great, great mortgage agent. You're lucky to have a guy like that. Thank you, Jayson.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that endorsement. I really appreciate that. 602-573-3101 if you want to reach out to me. Hey, great show, Matt. Appreciate your time, buddy. And I'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks, Jay.
All right. Take care.
Jayson Bates, Arizona Mortgage Loan Originator, NMLS 220798, Mortgage Banking License is 092614, Equal Housing Lender. Sound effects today provided by SoundJ.com.